Instagram also. Okay. Hi, Linu. How are you? It is so nice to have you here as part of Above and Beyond. And Mentor Park is really glad to host you.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure talking to you. It's like going back to school days. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I was just remembering, like while today I meet you as a CFO of Gas Power Services South Asia of GE. I mean, that's a like big designation. I still remember the Linu who we used to just chat around with and run around with. So how has your journey been? I don't want to say that we are pre-Facebook era girls, but the fact is we're meeting after a long, long time. So tell me, Linu, how was your journey after school? Mothers International.
Yeah. So after school, I started doing CA, and CA during CA itself, I discovered, when back in school when we were choosing our subjects, whether we have to take
Yes.
science or commerce, that time I wasn't aware, which direction I have to take.
Yeah.
I knew for one thing for sure that I don't like physics, so I didn't want to take science. And I remember teachers coming up to me and telling me, "Oh, why didn't you take science?" Because that time, I guess, the
Yeah.
natural tendency for all of us was to take science, and then agar science काम नहीं करता, then we will see if we can move to commerce or arts or whatever. But I was someone who didn't take science and was like a surprise to my teachers, but parents were supportive, so I took up commerce. So way back then in school, I didn't know that I'll be doing CA, but then things got clearer. I like the subjects. I like accounting, taxation, so I took CA. I finished my CA in 2000, and I've been working since then. So almost like 25 years of work experience. Do I sound old? Yeah, I am.
You don't
And
sound you look old. So,
thank you so much. So 25 years, I guess, different countries, different
yes.
companies. So
Wow.
I have a domain, my domain knowledge is in finance. So I've grown a lot as an individual, as an employee, uh, as a mother of two boys, as a daughter.
Yes.
So been playing various roles. Got married and I have two children, so brought them up as well. So juggling between multiple roles. In
Yes.
so far, the journey has been really good, and I think I've achieved a lot.
Awesome, and that makes us so proud, that makes us so proud. Instantly, I'll also tell you, I had the same concern, like my teachers, especially our chemistry teacher, she was our class teacher, and she came and told me, why are you not taking science? And by the way, I also had the same problem. I didn't like physics at all. I think there was something wrong with physics. I think we needed more physics wala.com back then. you know and instantly my parents were not happy with, like, everybody is like, you have to take science, and I was like, no way, I am not doing science. In fact, I went and brought all the physics books of grade 11 and 12 and showed it to my mom. Look, can you solve this sum? If you cannot solve it, don't ask me to do it. And actually happy doing accounts, commerce, the entire thing, and I went on to do my economics from Sri Raman, and then got into this learning. And yes, yeah, 26, 27 years of experience here too. But today we are talking about Linu. So now, Linu, as
But
a young,
before we talk about Lino, I must say I'm so proud of you, Valerie. Back in school, also, you were like a very strong-headed, focused girl, right? I remember you as a strong-headed person. You knew
wow,
what you wanted to do in life. And when I see your bio and your journey, I'm so proud of you. Really, hats off.
thanks, Linu. So I don't know. We'll talk about the strong-headed outside this thing, and and we'll figure more out. But today, Linu, like when we talk about finance, right? Finance is a field, and especially where you are. And I've also worked with G, so I know how male-dominated that field is, right? So as a young CA, what were the challenges that you're facing, or did you have a very supportive boss? Like what was the experience back then?
Uh, you're right, right. So when I was studying that time, also, it's a male-dominated industry. There were all my friends, all my peers were mostly males, and uh, when I joined my first company, that time also stereotypes exist, right? Um, culturally also, we are told that women have to behave in a certain way, and there are certain things which men can do, there are certain things that women can do. So with all that, I did face some challenges, but my managers were quite supportive, and I personally preferred working in an organization which was aligned to my values.
Wow. Yes.
And wherever I gave my interviews, I was very particular about the culture of the organization. You can gauge it, Valerie. When you are in an interview and in a panel, you can ask questions like, "Are you married? Um, and if you're married, do you have children?" So you exactly know what's going on with their behind their mind, right? So I have also, as an employee, I have chosen organizations where I'm culturally, it's aligned with my values. I get a healthy work culture. And if I face any issues like the stereotype, or she's getting aggressive, or this is not the way women should behave type, I would always have my mentors, right? So in my organization, different companies I've worked with, there are all sorts of people. Yeah, we come from all backgrounds. So that's where I guess mentorship played a very important role. And most of my mentors were males, right?
Yes.
So I've been encouraged to take up challenges, and these mentors have been my sponsors. So whatever
Yes.
challenges came by, I did have people on whom I can bank on, people who
Yes.
sponsored, and
Yes.
I could conquer the challenges through communication, effective communication. Just to stand up for myself. I never compromised on those values. So perhaps challenges are there, but yeah, somehow sailed.
Yeah, no, no, I agree with you, and in fact, just to tell you about our Above and Beyond program, right, the Women Leadership Program, where you're also going to be coming and hosting a session on how to break the glass ceiling. Uh, we actually tell women leaders that whether it was now or earlier, right? There are certain men who are supportive. So it's not just women who have to support women, but there are many men, and we should take help from them, because instantly they are the ones who are very senior positions today, right? Even our mentors who are there on the platform, like Mr. P.R. Ramesh or Mr. Hitesh Gajaria or Mr. Ramesh Iyer, all of them have been supporting women employees in their work life, and they believe in them. They believe in the power of women. So now we will move and shift gears towards women in leadership. Okay, and I'll not jump directly to leadership, but to say that, okay, when you're taking the first steps in leadership, what are the three challenges do you think women face as a first time leaders?
Um, See, uh, the way we are wired, right? Um, and mostly, I mean, even the research has shown that women are more emotional. We attach ourselves to everything. Um, so I was also a very, I am still a very emotional person, right? So um, what I learned in my journey is, in my initial days where I used to handle projects and I used to get emotional about it. If there were some setbacks, I would feel bad about it. I used to get very attached. So detachment is something which I learned through my bad experiences. So and in this forum also, I would like to advise that try to practice detachment, right? Approach every problem very pragmatically. No need to bring in your emotions like ego, anger, jealousy, and all that, right? Ultimately, if the project is successful, everything is good. But if it is not, then take it with a pinch of salt and take those feedback very constructively, because this is not the end of the world. um,
Yes.
yeah, so that's one thing. And now I feel, at this juncture, there could have been certain things that I would have done very differently. uh,
Yeah.
Whether it was like the detachment thing, or taking out time for myself to network, engage,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So in my younger days, I was like, okay, I have to go to work, finish my projects, do it diligently, come back home, take care of my children, take up their studies, go to office. It was a regular mundane activity. Now I feel if I would have engaged in more networking, uh, you know, um, attending forums and conferences, it would have been better. So I started a bit late, but I regret not starting earlier. And personally, I feel I should have invested in myself also.
Yeah.
So
No, and you're right, actually very right, and this is how, and it's not that we are only wired like this. I sometimes also feel that uh, there is a void. If you don't do it, then what happens? Who's
guilt,
there taking up? Yeah, there is guilt, and then who's taking up those responsibilities? And
correct.
till today, if I don't pick up my son's call, who's in Toronto, they'll be like, why are you not picking my call? I'm your son. And it's not that he's wrong in expecting all of that, but just that his love or maybe the way we've kind of groomed him, he expects that mama will always be there. Papa might be in calls, he might be in conferences, that's okay, but mama has to pick up my call. uh, I don't know whether there's right, wrong, anything about it, but I feel, yes, taking time out of for yourself and networking is very important. But tell me, Linu, a lot of us are not happy at networking. Like, we're not comfortable networking. What is your suggestion? Because we go there and we just sit in the conference, hear the speakers, and then come back. That is not networking.
Yeah,
So, what do you
yeah.
do?
I used to be like that only. I mean, I'm not like a trained person who can network, engage, But I
Yeah.
have my own bubbly nature. I do engage, and I can hold a conversation. So
Yes.
that's a skill probably that I learned way back in school. Um,
Yeah.
I would say so in your meeting, in your official meeting. So earlier you used to go and sit at the back, right? Not on the table, so not on the chair, which are like close up
Yeah. Yeah.
with the project team. I used to sit at the back and I used to listen to the conversation and hesitantly give my suggestions. So I remember this incident. Uh, this happened in a country which is very conservative, right? Very conservative. I don't want to name the country. And we are going to site, and this is our customer, and you know uh, all male dominated, all men. And I have my woman leader coming in from a different country, uh, and she walks in. So when she walks in, of course I can make out that she's being judged for the clothes that she is wearing, for the color of her skin, and the way she is talking, right? So appearances, people do judge. She walks in with confidence, she's well prepared. She speaks with conviction. She adds value to the conversation. And within a second, her
Yes.
differentiation of appearances and colors and language and gender goes
Yes.
away, and she's at
Yeah.
par. And we are
Yes.
negotiating, we are discussing, she's giving suggestions. And I was so impressed, and that was a learning experience for me. You know,
Yes.
I look up to those women leaders who set examples, and I learned from that experience. And from that day, whatever meetings I go to, I go prepared. I
Yes.
engage, and I don't
Yes.
hesitate in giving suggestions. And I
Yes.
network in official meetings. I don't go for those smoke sessions
Mm.
down the building, yeah, or
Yes.
those golf sessions.
Mm.
But I do have a way of networking and connecting with people. I prepare myself. I stay updated. I read newspaper. I'm updated about my industry. So I'm in power segment. G Word Nova is in energy segment. So I read about my sector. I read about my finance domain related knowledge. And I keep myself updated so that I have two, three topics which I can bring up when I'm engaging with people of my industry or any other industry. So I think I go prepared. That's
Yeah.
the trick that
That's
I
the
use.
mantra. Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that, because that's easy for us to do, right? Being prepared, and because you're not saying that, okay, go out of your comfort zone and not be yourself. What you're saying is just be prepared and go with confidence, show up with conviction. And
Absolutely.
the way you got inspired and you learned from that learning experience, right? What are you doing for the young women in your teams or in your organization? What has, like, how do you ensure that they also succeed the way you are succeeding successful?
Yeah, it's a time to give back now, right? And as women leaders, it's our responsibility that we try to break or maybe make that glass ceiling a bit thinner so that the next generation sees the sky, which is full of possibilities and opportunities. So, in my organization, I had volunteered for a couple of initiatives. For example, I was part of the POSH committee.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
which is very strong in GE. We do
Hmm.
not compromise with any kind of sexual harassment. So I was part of that POSH committee. I also volunteered for DNI initiative, which is diversity and inclusion,
Yes, yes.
and we prepared policies which are friendly, not only gender friendly, but also friendly for differently abled or other
Yeah.
communities. Yeah. So, but formulating policy is a different thing, but we also engaged in advocating it so that there's a change in mindset, right? You have to have that acceptance. So, and then of course, I'm always available as a mentor to the young women folks. I was also part of the financial management trainee hiring program in India at one point in time. And I always encourage the young women, new joinees to speak up. And um, I'm always available if they need any guidance or mentorship. So if that makes a difference.
No, it does. It does. It makes a difference. And I think we have less role models. The more role models we make is something that we will be able to promote and help the young also come up. I mean, and it's not only, sometimes I don't feel that it's only girls who need that help. Sometimes even young boys might need that
Absolutely.
nudge and that shove, to say like, okay, why don't you do this kind of stuff? So Lino, I'll still stay in that middle segment a bit more, because that is a time that women go through a lot of changes. Like as you said, right? You have two boys. First, there's marriage, then there are kids, and then there is a lot of guilt, and we just mentioned and we spoke about it. So I'll not speak so much about the guilt, but about the entire journey. That when you take these breaks, or when things happen in a woman's life, right? There's always this conflict that goes on. Okay, should I go on a break? Am I doing the right things? What do you think? What happens in the mind, and how can we overcome that? Because that's a very crucial time, and we know that we lose a lot of women employees at that point in time.
Yeah. See, Valerie, I'll be very honest here. I always encourage women in family, my friends, or my organization to have a career, right? It's always good to keep working. You can have your own startup like you are doing. You can work for a company, or you can be a consultant, you can be a life coach, whatever. But it's always good to be financially independent no matter what happens. Now that should be something which you should always have. But just in case the circumstances are such that you have to take a break, like I took a forced break when we were coming back to India. I was expecting my second child. It was a forced break. I never had any other breaks in my career. Um, no matter whatever you say, yeah, it's very difficult to get back to work after that. So I delivered my baby, and after 7 months, I was in the market looking for jobs. It was a bit hard to explain that break, and people don't really understand. There are conscious and unconscious biases that exist in the society. So, breaks is not what I would advise, but if you have to take a break, then you do that. You take a sabbatical if your company allows you to do it and get back to your work once you're okay. And if you have to take a forced break, then just don't stay aloof. Stay connected to people you know in the industry, network, engage again, keep yourself updated. Whatever is the circumstances, you can take out some time for you to read, um, to get updated in terms of maybe technology, maybe your domain industry information, whatever.
Yeah.
And then once you're okay and things are okay, get back to work. And anything can be worked out. For example, in my case, I had two children, growing up children, and I had a hectic job. I was like lost on how to manage. Am I a good mother? I was
Yeah.
trying to be a good mother, a good employee, a good daughter, a good wife, perfectionist. But that's not possible, right? You're not a
Yeah.
superwoman. So you have to let things go. Um, for example, like I used to come back home after a hectic day and start teaching my children, take up their lessons. अब एक नहीं है, दो हैं. So I realized over time that I have to come back, revise, study
Yeah.
first, and then coach
Yeah.
them, right?
Yeah.
And then it's taking a toll on me. My blood pressure is shooting up. So is it even worth? Then I started outsourcing that. I started
Yeah.
getting professional help, putting them in coaching classes,
Yeah.
outsourced all the house related work, hired good maids, gave them money, cleaners is there, there is a cook as well. And also I brought my mother to stay with me. Now again, social norms, culturally, girl's
Yeah.
mother is not supposed to stay with a girl and all that thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just need to listen from here and let it go out from there and do what
Yeah.
is appropriate. I'm the only child and my mother needs me, so I have to support her, and she will have to stay with me. That again helped me because I had a support system at home.
Yes. Yeah.
So I aligned my resources in such a way that I don't have to take breaks often. So there's always a solution to every problem that you have. Try not to take breaks, but if you have to take a forced break, then you keep yourself updated.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in today's world and environment, keeping yourself updated and continuing to shine is actually becoming easier, right? I mean, there is a LinkedIn platform. There are so many places that one can still go ahead and write and share your knowledge, right? And still stay connected.
And then companies are becoming so flexible nowadays. Like, way
Yes.
back when
Yes.
we were young, if I had this opportunity of doing video conferencing online,
Yeah.
work from home, I would have
Yeah.
achieved so many things, I feel, right? And now companies are flexible, outlook is changing, the focus is on productivity, and you'd not be working from office. Most companies are giving this kind of flexibility. So I don't see why we should take breaks. But if at all we have to, then of course
Yeah.
we have to
The
be
idea is to
updated.
come back soon or at least stay connected and engaged, because
Right. Exactly.
eventually it's like I think the brain stops working. It just
Yeah.
becomes very,
But
very
not because you
difficult.
need money, it's because you are
Yeah.
independent and your
Yeah.
confidence level is high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you on this one. And just so we've spoken about career breaks. So then we can move on to being getting that credit at work, right? Like despite all the problems that we face when we go back into those boardrooms, go back into those meetings, or even just a general day-to-day work, there are times when, and I'm sure you also experienced that you did not get credit for the work that you had done. How do you respond to that? And what would your suggestion be to the above and beyond women leaders?
Credit for your work. Yeah. Uh, See, tell me, Valerie, honestly, when you were growing up, when you were a kid, like, did you listen to comments like, "Arey, don't beat your own trumpet. Others should validate you, right? Others should appreciate your work, and then only the success is there, right? You should not be talking about yourself, right? You're groomed in certain way,
Yeah.
and that has kind of stayed with us. So you will feel, why am I beating my own trumpet? Koi aur dekhega, somebody else will see, they will accept, they will recognize, they will promote. Trust me, no one will do it in corporate world, no one. So you will have to stand up for yourself. You have to do that self advocacy. You will have to beat your own trumpet in a nice way.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, Articulate your achievements in the right forum. Don't
Yeah.
hesitate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it comes very easily to men. I've seen them doing it, but for women, we feel, "Arey, should we be even talking about it? What will others think?" and stuff like that. Just put that thing aside. Self advocacy. If you don't stand up for yourself, who else is going to stand up for you? Nobody. So I feel you should articulate your achievements, you should do self advocacy, um, and I feel what I do is, whenever we have performance reviews, or we have annual and mid-year reviews, it's not very easy to remember everything that I did, so I just note it down in a place, and whatever I'm doing throughout the year. And when it comes to performance review, I go and pitch it out to my manager that I've done this, and I need the right hike, and I need the next level. What do you think where I'm lacking? Stuff like that. So you have to stand up for yourself. Trust me, nobody, right? Well, you also
Yeah.
work with companies.
Yeah, I know.
We'll have to talk about achievements. There's no other shortcut.
There is no other shortcut. And I learned this so long, so late in my career, and I realized that I used to go to performance reviews assuming that my manager knows everything that I'm
Managers
doing.
will know, yeah.
Manager knows because hello, I update the person every day. The achievements are there, the numbers are there, the things are there on the but then very late in my career I realized that, what, okay, let's make a dashboard, and show it on the face to say that, okay, you know what, this is what I've done, this is how I have impacted what I've impacted, and now can we have the conversations. And these are not easy conversations, and nobody has taught us to ask, like,
Hmm.
because and even in school, I don't remember, like, even our school was not like that, even colleges, nowhere, nobody teaches you, okay, you have to go and ask. And
Hmm.
but then we, how can we enable the next generation of women leaders to not go through the same problem? Do you have any suggestions on that? Because like, still we don't teach them in schools and colleges that stand up for yourself.
Yeah, see, it's something which they have to, the skill, if they have to stay in a corporate environment and they have to compete with different people, they'll have to step up. They'll have to learn how to talk about their achievements. Maybe note it down on a piece of paper or whatever they have done about their projects, about their achievements, and find time to speak about it.
Yeah.
Self advocacy. They have to pick up that skill. There's no shortcut. They can start step by step, small projects, and start talking about it. And not only in their own company, even when they network or they go to other forums or conferences, they can talk about what their company is doing, how they are adding value to it. Trust me, they'll get the next opportunity very easily.
Yes.
So they have to come out of their comfort zone. No shortcuts.
There is no shortcut. Great. Great. So, glass ceiling, you touched upon it. I have a theory on this. I feel that while there is a concept of glass ceiling, I also feel that women have their own glass ceilings. We set our own barriers. What's your
True.
view on
Oh, absolutely right. See, um, I feel, first of all, there is the stereotype, right? We are brought up in a certain way that, um, like when I was growing up, right, my neighbors and my relatives would come up with unsolicited advices. I never asked them advices about my career, but then their view is, right, you are a woman, so you should basically take up a career as a teacher,
it? Oh,
maybe a
you also got that?
professor.
I also
Yeah,
got that.
teacher or a professor. So then you have time for your children, and you can manage your home, and then you'll have a career also, you'll be earning also. So there are certain jobs which are assigned to females, so gender specific jobs. Nobody told me go and fight for the country, join army, or become
Yeah.
a mechanical engineer, go to the shop floor and repair a gas turbine, or become a civil engineer or construct a building. No. So I had my own set of options, which was laid down by people, and my parents also kind of agreed, huh? This is the safest one. But I went on to become a chartered accountant. Mm, and you know how things are when there are audits and there is closing, there are deadlines, there are tax
Oh,
related submissions. We used to sit in office till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and then come back home, come back to office early morning. So uh, perhaps somewhere from childhood I had that conviction, no, this is not what I want and this is what I want. So that sense of purpose, where you want to go, and um, you should stand by it, right? You should have confidence in your capabilities and don't go by the stereotype. And told in a very young age that you need to do this, you don't need to do that. And even if you go for like in a company, I felt that uh, men are evaluated on their future potential,
Hmm.
whereas women are very harshly judged on their current situation, right? So if given a situation, if a man reacts in a certain way, people say, okay, he's assertive. But if a female reacts in a very similar way, she's termed as aggressive. So gender biases are there. While you So you break your stereotype and you go after your sense of purpose and you try to achieve it with full conviction. You should also be mindful that you cannot cure the world. You cannot, you know wipe out all these biases all of a sudden. So very be mindful about your body language and the way you're behaving, uh, because trust me, you will be judged no matter what you say. So I feel, the way to maneuver or navigate through these challenges
Yeah.
is, uh, perhaps get the mentorship at the right time. Like, you're doing a great job. They should find their mentors, they should find their guides, and they should rely on people who, women leaders from their organization, talk to them. uh, they should not compromise on their self-respect. um,
Yes.
Communicate, navigate, sorry, and probably, um, you know avoid these people who are like judging you, and try to, when you are successful, pass it on to the next generation, by helping others. um, I don't know whether I have answered your question, but yeah, to
No.
navigate this is difficult.
Yeah, Lino, what you're saying is actually, and it's right, right? You cannot cure the entire world. I mean, these are like gravitational problems. You cannot solve them. But what you can solve is the how you respond to those problems. So,
Mm.
how can you navigate through all these challenges? And the way to navigate, uh, I mean, that has been my experience also. Like, you stay professional, you put your point across. Um, I've not been able to be like, okay, don't expect anything. But I mean, I will reach that level of spirituality someday in my life, or I will not. But yeah, I mean, can you manage your expectations in such a way? But still, uh, stay positive, because
Yeah,
there are days, I mean, and being, and especially for women leaders who are very emotional, right? Nowadays, when I speak to my mentees and they say, oh, well, I was very emotional, I said, it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be emotional. Manage your emotions, calm yourself, and then come back and close that conversation. Because you might need to take a
absolutely.
break. Take that break, go back, but close that conversation. Because if you do not close your conversations, because of your emotions, you get a tag. Oh, she's very emotional.
Mm-hmm. True.
No, please take that break, go out, but come
Take a
back and
pause. Correctly.
yeah,
Gather your thoughts, take a pause, and go
yes,
back and close the conversation.
yeah,
Absolutely. And one thing my mentors always tell me, like, don't burn bridges. So, yeah, coming back to your emotional points, detach yourself. Don't
yeah,
bring
yeah.
any
I mean,
more
that is a new
emotion.
word I'm taking from this call. This conversation is, how do you practice detachment? Because that's important, And then there are times that you need to do that. But
Because if you don't practice this detachment, you will be drained.
yeah,
Because if you start attaching emotionally to every situation, try to cure the world, try to tell them not to judge me or not to stereotype me,
yeah,
it's not going to be. You just have to let it go, detach yourself, and just have your purpose, sense of purpose, a target, and keep moving towards it.
yeah. Somewhere I read, and maybe it was a reel I heard or somewhere, but keep the noise out. The more
Mm.
you focus on what you want to achieve and keep the noise out, because there will be a lot of distractions, there will be noise around you. I mean, if you're a good worker, you have intelligence, you have brains, you will go out and there'll be noise around you.
Absolutely.
How do you keep the noise out is what we have to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now moving on from the glass ceiling to impact and influence in your position, when you reach there, right? There is an impact that you need to create, and you need to influence a lot of stakeholders.
True,
Uh,
true.
right? And what is your golden mantra there? How do you manage your stakeholders?
So, there's certain things which I still regret. Um, uh, and when I'm practicing these things now, I feel I should have started it long back. Um, One of the things that really helped me is meditation, right? Um, Fitness, yoga. I started very late. I feel when you have a lot of aggression in you, or when you have a lot of things going on, whether there's stress or aggression or environment or fast-paced job or deadlines, when you find out time for yourself, and you invest in yourself by doing whatever you feel like. You can go. I go for a swim. I started yoga. I started meditation. It calms you, right? Now, what
Yes.
that really helps you in is clear thinking. In a corporate world, for example, like especially in a high-paced world, like if you if you are already stressed out and so many things going on, you really need to have a calm mind to be a clear thinker. So um, that has helped me make certain decisions, navigate and maneuver, help my stakeholders to think clearly. Because I was at peace, I could convey those strategic initiatives in a very clear way. For example, I'll take an example, like I work closely with my sales director.
Hmm.
So if somebody is bringing in a deal in which I feel it's not going to be executable, or it'll have an impact downstream, I may not be able to collect money, there is any other risk. Uh, Now to confront him and to tell him that the business that you're gonna get, which is of course going to give you bonus, is something which might be a problem. Let us constructively look at it and try to get some mitigation for this risk. Right now, you may be knowledgeable, but in order to have those things that are being bounced onto
Conversation.
you, in order to dodge it and in order to channelize the conversation in the right direction, you really need to be at peace. So, and even in execution, like the leaders, or the leaders who come up with things, and we try to bring in productivity, cost
Hmm.
effectiveness. All
Hmm.
these things really need a calm mind. So I would always tell everyone, not only women, men as well, do not neglect your health, and have some time for yourself, either to meditate or to do yoga, go to the gym. It really calms you. And if you're calm inside, you'll be able to navigate all the challenges. So, maneuver through all these challenges. That's something which has helped me. And influencing is a skill that probably you'll pick over the years. So you really need to study a person on how they are, and try to articulate your theories, your suggestions, or your feedback in a very constructive way, so that it's not offensive, right? It's respectful. Um,
Yes.
um, if you are calm, you're respectful, and you have a reason behind what you're saying, and you can
Yeah.
explain it, you can back it up with it, there's no way anybody will reject it or won't get influenced. There's no reason, unless you're very unreasonable or you're dealing with a very irrational person, right? If
Yeah.
you are dealing with a rational person, which I assume you are, because you're in a corporate world and you're working in a company, nobody will hire someone who doesn't have that kind of a capability. So you explain it, you back it up with data, and have that clearly communicated on a timely basis.
Yeah.
Time is very important when you are dealing in such situations. So these are a few things that I've been practicing for years. It has worked out for me.
Sure. And when it comes to stakeholder management, right? And we'll just push it a bit more. There are internal stakeholders, there are external stakeholders, and there's managing up. A lot of our women leaders in the last batch that we did, had this question. Uh, some leaders are are not able to put their point across. You might
Hmm.
have you might be rational, but you're not able to communicate with them because they are always changing their perspectives. Okay. And
Hmm.
so how do you manage, and first of all, have you encountered anybody like this? I'm sure you have, because in 25 years you get to work with all types of personalities, right? But there are sometimes managers who change their perspectives, their ideas so much that it becomes difficult to bind them to certain things. So what is your suggestion with that?
See, it depends who you are dealing with. Yeah. For example, if I am dealing with my direct manager and he happens to be somebody like this, right? So my only option is to be very honest and give him that constructive feedback, have a discussion with him on what is it that's bothering him or what is it that I'm lacking, and where can we, how I can improve, right? Now, assuming he's a rational person, he doesn't have any personal enmity with me, he would definitely guide me, express his views, or give me suggestions on how it can be overcome. Now, if you are unlucky and you're dealing with a person who is very irrational, you are living in a very toxic environment, and whatever you say is not working, uh, you may want to go to a mentor or somebody else. In GE, they have, skip levels up.
Skip levels, yeah.
Yeah. So if you feel that this person is acting weird, you can always go to another person and express and take ideas from them, or approach your mentor. Still, it's not working as a toxic environment, I'll advise you to leave the company. There's no point, right? So you should. That's why I said I began the conversation, this conversation saying that I do not work in companies where culture is not aligned to my values, right? I'll break my head to a certain extent. If it doesn't work, then I'll just cut them and leave, move on. Um, Now, if it is not your manager and your matrix, like maybe your sales director, maybe your operations director, and they come up with some crazy suggestion, you can always convince them with data-backed analysis, empirical examples, etc. Still, they are not convinced. Then you can use your manager as a bad cop and a good cop. So we always play bad cop, good cop in our
Yeah.
conversation. So if I am being a good person, that okay, I support your decision, I'll go and tell the other person that this is the problem. You say good. So if my manager is not located in the same country or is far, easily put it across. It's not going to bounce back to him. So you have to play that good cop, bad cop for with other stakeholders. With managers, you have to be very direct and take their feedback, constructive feedback. It has to be a continuous feedback. It's not like a feedback that you take at the year end. You can engage with him every month. Ask him, or bi-monthly, or quarterly. And if nothing works out, move out.
Yeah, if nothing works out, move out. So, Lino, we're almost coming to the end of our conversation, right? And I know through the journey you've told me about what would what would you advise other women leaders? What would you advise yourself if I take you back 20 years back and say, okay, Lino, what is a younger Lino should do now?
See, Valerie, I really regret, personally speaking, I really regret not focusing or investing in myself, in my fitness early on. With this kind of a work where you're like sitting on desk and in front of the laptop, it's a very sedentary lifestyle, right? I would have been much more productive, much more efficient if I had invested in myself. So I started my fitness journey much later. I regret that I should have done it earlier. And again, one more thing that younger Linu should have done was, rather than just work, boom, 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 kids and office and all that, I should have taken out time for to connect with people, had attended conferences, presented, So the skills that I picked up was on the job and during my journey in GE, but I would have been much more smarter if I had done that earlier. Um, and yes, something which I've always been doing is investing in learning, upgrade, keep myself updated, and to if and again, a younger Linu was more emotional and used to feel bad on setbacks. The practice of detachment came much later in life. So if I had practiced detachment earlier, I would have been much more successful. Not now. I feel I'm wherever I'm in a good position. But the practicing of detachment kind of a thing would have been better. I started self advocacy also much later in life when I realized I don't know nobody's observing and I have to talk, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if I was more aware, then it would have been better. And I regret that I'm not in. I did not get the kind of technology, the video conferencing, the visible opportunity. Otherwise, I would have had much more time rather than spending 20 hours driving down from Delhi to
No, this is good. I know what you're saying. You're saying that you there were certain things that you could have done in a better way, and you would advise the younger Lino to do that. But if the younger Lino is a Gen Z, okay, and Gen Zs are very different from Lino today. Okay, and
Oh,
I actually I'm an advocate of Gen Z. In fact, the entire initiative of Intern Park was started.
Gen Z is lucky to have you then.
But also have young sons, right, who are in the same age bracket, right? What is your opinion about this generation? How can we actually guide them better to ensure that they come out of the stereotype that the world is making for
Mm. Uh, so Percy speaking like for his son as well, I keep advising him, one thing that you need to learn is patience,
them? Yes.
right? Um, you need to give time to whatever
Yes.
you're doing. Results may not be instant, but
Yeah.
it's an evolution. Be
Yeah.
patient, work hard,
Yeah.
enhance your skills. Actually, kids know what they want to do, where they
Yeah.
want to go, but
Yeah.
they want everything instant, like instant noodles, right? Everything should be fast. So career cannot be, such a fast track kind of a thing. So they have to learn to be patient. They have to learn to be resilient, develop their communication skill. Don't take things for granted because you have been privileged, fortunate to have a good background, but that doesn't stop you from working hard, from learning more, growing in your career. So I'm so glad, Valerie, that they have mentors like you, because I think there's a lot that needs to be done, I feel. What's your view?
No, I agree with you. Personally, and I interact with them a lot. In fact, in my new role, I really work with them a lot. In fact, I work with them more than I work with peers of my age group now. Uh, what I personally feel is what they bring to the table is a lot of thinking and a lot of new knowledge and a lot of perspectives, right? I think where they need to really develop, and I think it's an evolution, as you said, is how do you how do you manage and avoid conflicts? So they
Mm,
with a lot of force behind their ideas, and not to say that they don't respect experience, but they respect knowledge over
mm,
experience.
mm,
So the way I connect with them is giving them that time to speak it out, share your idea, convince what you're saying, and then
mm,
just be open to a new perspective. So being helping them become open to new perspective is what all that we try to do again and again. And trust me, then they thrive. I mean, our Mentor Park platform, the first two versions were actually, and I'm personally very proud of it, was created by mentees. Okay, and these were young kids who came together, applied the entire principles of design thinking, and created the platform. And they still own it. Like they still
mm,
own it in the same Like if I have anything to ask, they will say, ma'am, don't do this, do this. Don't do this,
So
do
what
that.
you're
But
saying is that they are coachable, right?
they are
They're
very
coachable.
coachable. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're very coachable. But do we have time to coach them anymore? Is the question that I keep asking, and I keep encouraging managers to see. We say, oh, they should come with. In fact, one of the feedbacks that we have a survey on Gen Zs, and they say that our managers don't give us time. They expect that these people will come with these five things. I had no such expectations when I joined my job, right? I don't think my mentors had such expectations. They always said, okay, she's new, she needs to learn these things. So I think investing in time, just like we say that they are instant noodles, I think somewhere we also want instant interns and
Results.
freshers who are ready to give results.
Very,
But
very
are
good.
willing to develop them and give them that time to develop is something that we as especially in position that we are in, we should think about. This is my view on this.
But this
Uh,
mentorship has worked for them, right? I mean,
it at least
mm,
I would say it has worked for me, and I'm telling you there are outcomes, right?
mm,
The entire mentor park app, while the third version is now going through a change, and it will be created by experts, the first two versions were clearly created by interns. The entire
it's
setup
impressive.
of mentor park, the program was done by interns, and they all came together and said, okay, this is what we should be doing. While I kept guiding them, and there were inputs that I took from my mentors and gave them, but the initiative and the proactiveness was there. So that's I mean, I don't feel they're lazy, they're not involved, or like but I mean, frankly speaking, even in our generation there would have been people who were lazy and not involved, right?
Absolutely.
So but we never went around and stereotyping a generation because of few.
True,
but
true, true, true.
but these kids are out there to make an impact. So now we
Very
will
good.
transition to Above and Beyond, which is the women leadership program, and which you have actually, thankfully you have agreed to participate in it, and become a mentor, and take a session on glass ceiling over there. I have a question, and what got you excited about it? Don't say it was me. Apart from
Yes. One of the reasons was you. So I have my childhood friend who's bringing a lot to the table, and it's an honor to be part of this. Secondly, as I said, like, I had my own journey. Now I feel that it's time to give back, right? And I really want to make an impact. I really feel that, as women leaders, we should try to thin that gas ceiling and open up the world of opportunities. For them. Trust me, women are very, very competent, very capable. Now, if
yes,
you take the case of COVID, see how we juggle, right? No maids. We have to
yeah,
do the house wala work, and then
yeah,
office deliverables, no compromise
yeah,
in productivity.
no,
Crisis management.
yeah,
If
yeah,
a person is sick, we isolate, we try to, give them food in a different way and try to find solution. So only a woman is capable of doing all this and still, make an impact. So I feel it's time to give back, and that's why I thought it's a good platform to be in. Yeah.
thank you so much, Lino. I take a lot of learnings from this, and I'm sure people who are listening will also be taking a lot of these learnings, and really appreciate your collaboration and your presence on this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Valerie. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks. So